I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about when I say we all grew up being told that being smart is everything. And I do mean book smart here. Our system proves it. The grades or points that we have to earn in school to prove how well we can remember facts or solve a math equation, or how well or how great we are at spelling or writing grammatically correct sentences. And mind you, just to mostly forget all of those again after we're like wrote the test already. And in the end, is that really what matters most? Well, of course, the answer is no. And I'm sure almost everyone knows this. Everyone who's been through a little bit of their life and learned through living. So now, of course, the question is, what really does matter? But before we dive in, I would like to thank you for clicking on this video and choosing to spend some time with me today. You'll find chapters and timestamps in the description below, so you can skip around or revisit specific parts if you like. And for those of you who are new here, hi, I'm Kay and welcome to Kdom. This is my personal kingdom or queendom if you prefer, where I invite us all to come together to remember our crowns, to reclaim our thrones, and to connect with our higher selves. Here we honor both our softness and our power, treating ourselves like the queens and kings we truly are. If this resonates with you, then you are very welcome to subscribe and become part of our growing royal community. As you can probably tell in this video, I'm going to talk about emotional intelligence in opposed to conventional or academic intelligence, or more like incorporation rather than oppose. So IQ and EQ in collaboration. This is something I felt called to talk about after I've read the section about it in Brianna Weiss. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce her name, but yeah, it's in 101 essays that will change the way you think. And there's a section about emotional intelligence in there. There are actually a lot of essays about emotional intelligence in there, and I felt called to talk about it in a video simply because I kind of had the feeling that a lot of people still don't really pay that much attention to it or give that much importance to it. And I guess I also really felt like I wanted to talk about it because we grew up being conditioned in that way, and most of us grew up feeling emotionally abandoned, even though there were people around us all the time. But without further delaying, let's get into the video. Let's start with this. What even is IQ? Well, it's short for intelligence quotient, and if you search it up on the internet, you'll probably find something like this. An intelligence quotient is a total score derived from a set of standardized tests or subtests designed to assess human intelligence. So in other words, IQ is a score that measures logical reasoning, our problem solving skill, our memory, and our analytical ability. It is what we mainly associate with academic performance tests and technical skills. For example, someone with a high IQ will probably be able to ace an exam, solve a really complicated equation, and maybe even design a whole system from scratch. But then when it comes to emotionally charged situations where they actually have to like console a friend or read the room, they might actually freeze or misunderstand or simply say the wrong things. Now, how about EQ then? Well, of course, EQ is short for emotional quotient, and it measures our emotional intelligence, which is included in the ability to understand, manage, and use your own emotions, as well as to recognize, notice, and influence other people's emotions. And it is comprised of self-awareness, empathy, emotional regulation, self-management, motivation, social awareness, and relationship management. If you're still not quite sure what that means or how that would look like, well, someone with a high EQ could calm a heated conversation, sense unspoken tension in a room, or genuinely comfort a friend who's hurting. So they don't just adapt to problems, they adapt to people. So now that we understand what is IQ and what is EQ, what do you think, which one matters more? Well, in my opinion, the truth is ideally you'll be able to utilize both in combination with one another. Because for sure, IQ will help you get the job, at least more easily, because there's just no other way of saying it. Obviously, your grades will speak for you and society will look at what's on paper first, even if it sounds frustrating. But in the end, EQ is the deciding factor that will help you thrive in a job and in life in general, of course, because people will notice people will notice these kinds of things in the way you interact with them, talk with them, and consider them, or, well, not, obviously. So apparently, I really can't say this word. So apparently research has shown that EQ is apparently the better factor to look at when considering or predicting success in leadership, in relationships, resilience, and communication. Because individuals with a high EQ are more likely to focus on the positive, listen before making decisions, admit to their own mistakes, show empathy, and also appropriately deal with negative emotions should they come up. And also, in the end, that's the thing about life. You cannot actually logic your way through everything. If I were to give you an analogy. So if I were to give you an analogy to explain the importance of the interaction between IQ and EQ, what I would tell you is that IQ is like an engine of a car. It drives you forward. But EQ is the steering wheel. So without it, you would actually just crash into a wall or into a tree or, I think you get the general gist of what I'm trying to say. There's also an analogy that I really liked that Brianna put in one of her other essays. It's the 16 reasons why you still don't have the love you want. And there she compares the heart and the mind, which is pretty similar in my opinion. So the heart is supposed to show you what, and the mind is supposed to tell you how. So her approach is to liken the heart to a map and the mind to a compass. And once again, this is the proof that we should ideally be using both, right? Because if you just have the compass, you will know where north and south and east and west are, but do you really know where you need to go? Where is your destination? Is it north or south or west or east or southwest or southeast? You don't actually know that, right? But in the end, also with only the map, you still wouldn't really know where to go because you would have to match up a compass with the map to know, okay, I'm here and I'm going to move in this direction, because you can't actually tell from just the map, oh, I just have to go left or I just have to go right, because that's kind of not how maps work. You still wouldn't know which direction you're facing without a compass. So with that said, the problem still remains that our schools and our systems reward IQ over EQ. We measure test scores, not empathy. We still celebrate perfect memory, not emotional regulation. And also in the end, let's face it, someone with high grades will still be more likely to get the job, because for the like employer, yeah, for the employer, it's still a proof of that they'll get it done. They'll use their mind to solve the problem. They'll use their brain to do this and get the job done. Anyhow, even if they don't connect with the people around them, even if they don't get along well with their colleagues, they'll still get the job done because that's going to be their priority. So those are still the people that are going to be chosen over the people who actually can connect and have a good teamwork with their colleagues and the people around them. But if we look closely at the most important and most impactful thinkers in history, we can see that they've understood the importance of emotional intelligence. Take Einstein, for example. I mean, literally everyone knows him and literally everyone knows what he said. Like, imagination is more important than knowledge. Come on. There are also a few other things that he said that I feel like are not as known to many people. So what he said is the intuitive mind is a sacred gift and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant but has forgotten the gift. So he basically says that our world worships logic over intuition and emotion, even though they are both very essential and actually essential together specifically, like I already said quite a few times in this video. Another thing that Einstein said is any fool can know. The point is to understand. And that is actually very true because especially nowadays you can literally look up facts everywhere. But do we really show understanding? Do we really show empathy? Because in the end, do you really know what that other person is going through? That person that you have been criticizing and lashing out on the internet because you're not focused on your own life. Oh, sorry. I mean, you know what I mean. And as I've already mentioned before, this whole video is actually inspired by this particular book, 101 Essays That Will Change the Way You Think, by Brianna, well, I don't know how to pronounce her name, Beast. I'm not exactly sure. Anyhow, and what particularly sparked my inspiration and like to talk about this was the 10 things emotionally intelligent people do not do. And that's where she talks about how emotionally intelligent people actually let themselves feel their emotions. They're not afraid of feeling their own emotions. They do not bottle things up. They actually give their emotions space to be, and also thus work through them with honesty and awareness. Now, for those of you who have been with me for a bit already, you know that I've struggled with feeling my feelings. I actually even have a video where I talk about this, and I'll link it after this video is done for you to head over there and check it out if you feel like that. And through my own journey, I've actually realized that it's not just nice to have EQ, but it's actually quite essential. I'm going to give you a few examples and try to imagine that with me, will you? So you actually have a friend coming up to you and they're really excited about like a project of theirs or something that just really drives them, just something they're really passionate about, and they're like, I'm so happy, like this happened for me, like I don't even know, like it's like I just feel so good, I just feel so giddy. And now imagine you're the person who is a little bit off track with their emotional intelligence, and in your head you're like, okay, why is she so excited? Wait. She's like really happy. She's jumping up and down. Maybe I should do that too, or like would that kind of come over like fake or awkward? I'm not quite sure. And in the end, all you can do is like, yeah, oh, that's cool. And it just leaves a really awkward tone because you don't even know how do I react to that, because you're just really You just freeze up because you do not have the emotional intelligence to understand that. You do not have the empathy to feel the same thing that she's feeling or to understand why. Or another example, this is something that we actually encounter quite a lot. So parents saying to their children when their children are like crying or feeling sad or just uncomfortable or whatever, parents say, oh, please don't cry, or like, come on, be strong now, suck it all up. Or to little boys, real men don't cry. This is actually this something it makes me really furious, to be honest. If you think about it, like, yeah, the parents think they are saying it with love because they don't want to see their children sad, which is, by the way, also very selfish, but yeah. But what these children learn in those situations is, my feelings are wrong, my tears are a sign of weakness. And they'll definitely grow up to avoid and reject their own emotions and in the end become just like their parents were, because they don't know how to deal with emotions, even though all they needed in that moment was comfort, validation, and safety. And that's exactly how EQ works. It's about honoring your emotions instead of shutting them down or shoving them aside. Another example is something you can imagine going on in your work environment. Imagine two leaders. One of them has a high IQ, and you definitely know that they were accepted for this job because of their super high grades and their efficient problem solving skills or whatever. But this person doesn't know how to read the room. This person doesn't know how to read the room. They shut you off. They ignore anything that you want to bring in on this project because they think, well, this is what the boss told me, like what the higher ups told me, and this is how I'm going to do it. I'm not open for new ideas. I'm just going to do it my way, and that's how it should be done. And everyone is going to do it and finish it by the end of this evening. That's the most efficient thing. Whereas the other leader is not really the smartest on paper, but that leader is the one who actually listens to the people, listens to the suggestions, works them into the project, and also finds compromises for the people who just cannot finish like by the end of the week or whatever. Now, this example is about asking you, like, who would you follow? Which leader would you choose to follow? The first one or the second one? Yeah, exactly. That's the power of EQ, actually. So like I said, IQ might be able to open the doors, but EQ is what keeps the doors open. It's what actually shapes our friendships, our families, and our careers even. And the best thing about EQ is it can actually be learned, unlike IQ, because EQ is actually a skill. So you can actually devote time to it and develop it, get better at it. And now the best part, I'm actually going to give you some ways that you can practice this by yourself. Let's start with number 1, which is something you've definitely heard before a lot already, and that's journaling. Because this is about journaling and reflecting on yourself, your emotions, what you feel, what you do, becoming aware of yourself, what you're doing, your habits. This can also be a simple 5-minute check-in before bed, or like if you like to just like record your own voice reflecting on the day, something like that. Anything that resonates with you, really. I mean, you know, there's always a way to do it in a way that works with you, in a way that works best with you. And the second one now is to pause before reacting. So become aware of the feelings that you're feeling before you react. It's simply about giving yourself a moment to breathe and just notice, okay, I am feeling triggered. Why am I feeling triggered? I'm feeling angry. Why am I feeling angry? Something. I'm just feeling something, and there's something that, like, I feel like I'm going against this for some reason, whatever the other person just said. And even just a 10-second delay of your reaction could actually bring you into a place where you're a bit more thoughtful with your response. if that's the way you would like to practice something. The third way is you can try to name your emotions. So for example, you could fill the blank of I feel blank because blank. And also, if this seems like really difficult for you, just start with I feel, and the end, like the blank should be filled with either good or bad. Just that first, because this is the first step to trying to figure out how you feel if you've never worked with this before. And then you can start going over to actually naming the emotion. I feel angry because, or I feel sad because. And also maybe at first do leave out the because part. Just name what you're feeling. You do not need to know yet why you might be feeling it or not. Because in the end, just naming the emotion itself is going to help you reduce the intensity of that emotion, because it feels seen, because that's all your emotions want. They just want to be seen. Yeah, and it will help you gain more like clarity over the way that you feel. And the fourth thing is to be more aware when you listen to someone, and listen to understand instead of to actually respond or react. So this is about more of a thing, because usually when people come to you like, yeah, I feel like this and this and that and that, a lot of people, the first thing that will do is they'll try to solve the problem for you. Yeah, maybe you can do it like this and this, and then you won't feel like that anymore. Or maybe you can try do that and that instead next time. And that's very much IQ at work here, because we're trying to solve the problem. Sometimes all the person needs is someone to listen to them. Simply listen to them and be like, hey, I understand you. Hey, I see you. So that's how you feel. Also, you're telling me that you've been feeling uncomfortable lately. And if that's how you feel right now, then that's how you feel right now. We don't need to go any further. We don't need to discuss anything else right now. This is how you feel. And you just needed to talk to me to let it out. To let someone hear it, to let someone understand this. To see that someone understands. Just that. The fifth thing you can do is to try to practice something called empathy mapping. So it's kind of like when you put yourself in the other person's shoes, and you're just kind of trying to imagine, like, what would I feel if I were that person, and if this and this and this would have been done to me, would I be okay with that? Would I like that? Would that hurt me? And if so, why am I doing it to them? This will help expand your emotional and your empathy range over what you have pretty much circled around as your own experiences only. And you will be more understanding towards other people and try to understand how they might feel by putting yourself in another person's shoes. The sixth is to do some body check-ins, because your emotions actually always manifest physically as well. So this is just to pause and see where this might be in your body, like something like a knot in your stomach when you're nervous or when you feel fear, or something like your face heating up when you're really angry, or something that feels really heavy on your shoulders when you're feeling down, feeling sad. So this is just to notice, this is where energy is stored in my body, and it's because of specific emotions, because of specific things I'm feeling, or just not quite letting myself feel fully yet. Now the seventh ties in a lot with the third practice, which is that was to name your emotions, right? And the seventh is to expand your emotional vocabulary. So it's like I said, you start with I feel good or I feel bad, and then you kind of go further beyond, like, do I feel sad? Do I feel happy? And then you move a step further and go like, I feel lonely. I feel like I'm being misunderstood all the time. Things like that. It's like you just expand your vocabulary. You just expand your emotional vocabulary little by little. And this is going to help you be able to understand a range of emotions more, especially within yourself. And most importantly, of course, it is going to help you be able to communicate that range of emotion that is happening within your inner world. The 8th one is to reframe negative talk. This is kind of like when you're working with limited beliefs and you are rewriting that story. So instead of telling yourself that like, oh, that was so stupid of me, or like, why did I do that? That was really bad. Why would I do something like that? I should have known that this was going to be wrong, but I didn't, and now I'm like really mad at myself. Instead of that, just go and say, hey, like, okay, I couldn't handle it that well this time, but I've learned something from it, and I think that's also very valuable. And this is because EQ, actually, the foundation of it is self-empathy. You have to be able to give empathy to yourself first before you can give it to anyone else. So if you find yourself lacking the ability of empathy, maybe it's because you don't give that to yourself. And the 9th is gratitude. To practice gratitude, especially when it comes to relationships, in regards to relationships. Not only like, oh yeah, like what am I grateful for in this life so that I can manifest more abundance or whatever. It's more about what am I grateful for in other people? Why am I so grateful to them being there in the first place? Things like that. And it would also be nice if you just went and told them, hey, I'm really grateful for you. I'm really grateful that you're there for me, and I usually always feel so not seen and so misunderstood, but like you're always there for me, and I'm really grateful for that. Like just that. Like I'm just really grateful because you exist, and that's already making the biggest difference for me. That's actually such a beautiful thing to say to one another. What this also does is it strengthens your bonds, of course, with one another, strengthens your connection, builds it even deeper, and also it helps you to focus on what you are grateful for instead of something that you could criticize about them. Now, while we're at it, let me give you some journal prompts on the way, in case these might also be helpful for you to work with discovering your EQ or strengthening your EQ, or just like building it from the ground up. Whatever situation you're in right now. First one is, when was the last time I reacted instead of responded? How could I have paused instead? Now the second one, what emotion do I tend to avoid most and why? The third one is, how do I usually comfort others? How do I usually comfort myself? The fourth one is, what 3 emotions did I feel most strongly today? Where did I notice them in my body? The fifth one is, how can I express gratitude to someone I care about this week? And the last one, what is one belief I hold about emotions? For example, as a reference, that crying equals weakness. And how is it serving or limiting me? Now, in conclusion, again, being able to utilize your IQ combined with your EQ, no matter how high or low your IQ might be, is the best way to stay connected, grounded, be in your own power, and truly be successful and happy in life. Now, what I would find really interesting is to know whether you guys have had any experiences recently where you felt like the emotional intelligence was the missing piece in there. If emotional intelligence would have been there, then maybe this would have ended a little bit differently. Or perhaps a situation where you found that you had to use your emotional intelligence because logic wasn't quite cutting it. It wasn't quite enough. So share that in the comments down below, because I would really love to hear your stories, and also I would really like to know where you guys are watching from. So don't forget to put that in the comments as well. And if this video resonated with you, do not forget to like, subscribe, click the notification button down below to stay tuned for more videos like this. Also, feel free to share this video with a friend, a family member, a partner, or anyone you think could benefit from hearing this. By the way, if you would like to support this channel some more and like help me out a bit, you can buy me a coffee or matcha. You can find my Ko-fi link in the description below. And you can also find all of my social media accounts linked below, so I'll see you there. Let's keep rising, softening, and crowning ourselves together. Sending you so much love, and see you guys in my next video. Bye! Wait, hold up. Before you go, like I promised, for anyone who was interested in the video about me talking about my personal struggles with feeling my feelings, the video is right here, so you can head over there right now.